Hey guys, it's been a while. The new job, I've been quite busy, and the new tech stack is very heterogeneous. So there's a lot of TypeScript, but there's also Python and Java. So having reached a certain level of TypeScript and day to day working on TypeScript, I've been ramping up on Python. And I actually would recommend this site if you're also needing to ramp up on Python and data and everything. Data Camp. They organize the information in a very structured way, and uh, the theoretical classes about AI are all theoretical and concise without word salad, so they get to the point. And the courses I've been taking on Python are also like that, just enough information, and the rest is coding challenges. So I like it a lot. Anyway, so as I've been going through the coding challenges, the only thing I don't like is um, they only give you the part of the challenge that matters, but not everything that makes it work. Right? So no tooling, all that, that's already set up in the challenge window. But like if you want to create things in your own environment, you have to do your own setup anyway. So as I've been getting familiar with the Python ecosystem, I found out about pip, and then I found out about something called poetry. So initially using pip, it felt old and clunky, and I missed npm and all the conveniences. So I have this repo with pip versus poetry, and for anyone that's interested in these Python versus pip, Python pip versus Python poetry, you could definitely check these out. So examples Python pip, examples Python poetry. Same examples for now, but I will only continue the new ones on poetry. And this is basically a comparison of pip and poetry. So with pip, I would have to reinstall, and I can't consistently get the RAM working. The RAM is like as you navigate to a new folder, it's aware of your environment settings and or virtual environment settings. Um, you have to like instead of package JSON, you have to like have this text file and then install things there, and then you have to freeze it and like even running the script with make super old school. Anyway, I had to like make notes on this, and every time I find myself scrolling over to the troubleshooting section because the damn thing like it doesn't consistently work. Like, why do I spend with time with tooling as I'm working with code, right? Anyway, so I think pip is very clunky. It's old, and if people like it, I think they have not been introduced to the JavaScript ecosystem. Like they don't know what they're missing, right? So having those needs, I thought about poetry. In fact, a colleague of mine, an ex-colleague of mine, recommended it. He's like, "Oh my God, it's so nice. It's just like NPM." And they were getting introduced to JS ecosystem. And I tried it, and man, I loved it. So here are they side by side. So uh, just one time install for your local machine, and then a V shell or whatever shell you're using setting, just so there's like this directory watcher, and every time you navigate somehow with this poetry, it works. But because of I'm guessing the AMP settings, but with pip, I could not just make this auto directory thing work. Like every time, I would have to do the troubleshooting, like do the virtual environment setup again and again. Anyway, so once you do that on your machine, just one time in your project, you just poetry install, and then you set up the auto activation, and then drum along just one time. And then day to day, poetry has these uh, like linking and organizing and whatnot, like they're opinionated and built into poetry. Otherwise, with pip, they are all like separate, and you have to run them through the make file. But yes, so much easier to execute with poetry. Adding packages, separating like dependencies versus dev dependencies, that didn't exist in pip. Like everything goes to the make file. Like I don't know how they release packages. Again, I'm not super familiar to the Python ecosystem, and but that's there with poetry. The same ideas about add something, remove something. So if you like npm, poetry, you'll feel right at home. Like, because you always need something like this, in my opinion. I never had to resort to troubleshooting. It just works. And I made like a nice table here. So requirements text file versus Tumble file, and there's a log file. Okay, I don't really like Tumble, but still, it's not it's okay. It's better than a plain text file. Um, the environment creation is a separate step with Pip, but poetry it's almost inclusive. It's installed there. Um, Auto activation, I mean, it just works. Activation, I have to do it every time. Like this is so lame with Pip. Adding packages, like you have to install the package and then you have to pip, like you have to manually update requirements almost because like basically saying, hey, I installed stuff and then put that stuff in my requirements text file. That's already done with Poetry. Dependencies, everything's a normal dependency with pip, but you can separate in dead dependencies and dependencies. As someone who works on libraries that many applications use, this is extremely important to me. Um, of course, that comes with a dependency resolver, which doesn't exist. Um, the config, like with the pip version, I had to have all these separate files for uh, like Flake8 and the other tooling. But with Poetry, that's all in the TOML file. And um, yeah, the comment, like everything just works. So yeah, if you have not tried Poetry and you've been with Python, and maybe this is not my place to teach Python people how to use Python, but if you haven't tried Poetry, please give it a shot. Maybe I'm missing something, but I can't fathom why anyone would use pip today when they have something like Poetry. And if you're not convinced, please try these two repos side by side. So examples Python pip versus examples Python Poetry. And let me know your thoughts. Maybe I'm missing something, but in my opinion, like I wouldn't waste a second with pip. I'm never looking back. I think Poetry all the way. That's all. Later.